Okay, so imagine this. Buckingham Palace, right? All that gold, all that history, and behind the scenes, it's basically a soap opera on steroids. We're talking power struggles, family drama, and enough whispered secrets to fill a library. At the center of it all is King Charles, a man who's waited his whole life for the throne, but now seems, well, a little lost. The big problem? Camilla. Now, I'm not saying she's a villain, exactly, but she definitely has ambitions, and those ambitions seem to involve keeping Charles on a pretty short leash. Think of it like this. Charles is the CEO, but Camilla's the one whispering in his ear, making all the real decisions. And Princess Anne? She's the no-nonsense sister who sees exactly what's happening and isn't about to let it slide. Let's rewind a bit. There's this incident at Buckingham Palace, a reception for King Gustav of Sweden, all the pomp and circumstance, the polite laughter, the carefully orchestrated diplomacy, and then Camilla walks in and basically smacks Charles on the shoulder in front of everyone, like he's a naughty schoolboy. Apparently, he was going on too long about museums. King Gustav is probably thinking, what is happening? The guards are trying to look like they haven't noticed anything, but you know they're freaking out inside. And Charles? He just meekly follows Camilla out of the room like a scolded puppy. Now Anne sees all of this from across the room, and something inside her just snaps. It's not just anger, it's sorrow. She remembers Charles as this strong, capable brother, her protector. Now he looks diminished, and she starts to wonder what's really going on here. Is Camilla just overbearing, or is there something more sinister at play? That's when the wheels start turning. Anne isn't the type to just sit back and watch. She's fiercely loyal to her family and to the crown, and she's not about to let Camilla undermine either one. So she starts digging, quietly, discreetly, but with a determination that would make even the most seasoned spy nervous. She remembers little things, moments when Camilla silenced Charles in meetings, decisions that seemed to come out of nowhere, all under Camilla's influence. It all starts to add up. Anne remembers her mother, Queen Elizabeth's words, "You must protect your brother, Anne. The throne is not only power, it is a duty to history." Those words light a fire under her. She starts a notebook documenting every incident, every suspicion. She knows this is going to be a battle, a war of shadows within the palace walls, and she's ready to fight because Buckingham Palace, the emblem of stability, is about to become a battleground. The next big event is this charity gala, televised nationally. Charles and Camilla are there, smiling for the cameras, but Anne is watching like a hawk. And sure enough, Camilla pulls another stunt. She's supposed to be serving soup, a symbolic gesture of humility, but then she turns to Charles and basically orders him to take over, knowing the cameras will love it. Charles looks hesitant, like he needs her permission, and Anne just seethes. Why is he letting her do this? The host then invites them to unveil a portrait of Charles, a grand oil painting in full regalia, but Charles freezes, looks to Camilla for a nod. Millions watching at home must be wondering who's really in charge here. Anne's chest tightens. She remembers online rumors about Charles's health, whispers of cognitive decline, but she knows better. This isn't frailty, it's control. That night, Anne summons a trusted aide, a man who served the family for decades. "I want everything on Camilla," she says. What she's done, who she's met, her dealings, every detail, and fast. He understands the gravity and vanishes into the shadows. Anne's left alone with her thoughts and her mother's ring, engraved with "Protect the Legacy." She's not just protecting her brother, she's defending the Windsor inheritance. Less than a week later, the report arrives. A thick dossier, sealed with a handwritten note for Princess Anne only. She locks herself in her chambers, candlelight flickering across the pages. Her heart pounds as she reads. The first section reveals Camilla's sister, Annabel Elliot, has been brought into the royal inner circle as an unofficial advisor. Annabel, a former interior designer for the Duchy of Cornwall, now attends high-level strategy meetings on diplomacy and royal finances. Anne is furious. This isn't just favoritism, it's an infiltration. The next section details how Camilla's daughter, Laura Lopes, has been quietly included in closed royal functions, even a private dinner at Sandringham honoring Queen Elizabeth. These gatherings are reserved for Windsor kin or official dignitaries. Photos show Laura seated beside Camilla at the head table, chatting with senior royal advisors. The ceremonial family boundary is being deliberately blurred. But the final section, the financial revelations, leaves Anne reeling. $25 million, 0 cents from royal funds, has been redirected to acquire rural estates in Wiltshire, not for public service, but for Camilla's private use. The primary property is Ray Mill House, Camilla's longtime residence, now being expanded into a grand complex. The report outlines covert bank transfers, shell company contracts, and further spending by Charles himself to purchase nearby homes under the pretext of security. Some of this funding can be traced back to offices where Annabelle worked, suggesting her involvement. The dossier continues with an even more shocking detail. Camilla has requisitioned masterpieces from the royal collection, part of Britain's national art treasury, to decorate Ray Mill House. These artworks, held in public trust, are now adorning her private estate. Anne flips through the authorization slips, each one bearing Camilla's signature. "This is theft," she hisses, "dressed up as royal privilege." Thoughts of her brother swirl. Charles, once mocked for his failed marriage to Diana, now entangled in the ambitions of the very woman who had long waited to rule beside him. She recalls his late-night calls, his hesitant voice. "And what do you think about this?" Camilla says. At the time, she brushed off the tone of submission. Now she understands it was a warning. What lies before her could ignite the greatest scandal the monarchy has seen since Diana's tragedy. But Anne won't act rashly. Buckingham Palace is a labyrinth of whispers. One false move and her intentions will be discovered. She needs a plan, deliberate, careful, supported by allies she can trust without question. She extinguishes the candles, leaving only her mother's ring glimmering in the dimness. Her resolve is absolute. She's no longer just a sister defending a brother, she's a guardian of the crown. That evening, Anne confronts Camilla in a palace corridor. "You're exploiting the crown and turning my brother into a spectacle. I won't allow it." Camilla halts, her sardonic smile flickering. "Charles needs direction," she replies evenly, "and the monarchy needs someone who knows how to handle it." She glances meaningfully at Anne, reminding her of their past entanglement with Andrew Parker Bowles, Camilla's former husband, the source of an unspoken rivalry. Then she strides off, leaving Anne standing there, heart pounding. Anne understands that words alone won't suffice. She needs undeniable proof, evidence solid enough to sway even the Privy Council. At midnight, she convenes a discreet meeting with Duchess Sophie, wife of Prince Edward. Sophie, known for her quiet strength and reliability, was a close confidant of Queen Elizabeth II. The fire crackles warmly in the hearth, yet the room feels tense. Anne slides the dossier across the table. "I'll construct a delicate scenario," she says. "You'll invite Camilla to a staged charity meeting, make it sound routine, guide her into conversation, ask the right questions. I'll ensure the responses are documented word for word with high-level witnesses present." Sophie reads silently, then lifts her eyes to meet Anne's. "I'll do it," she says softly, but with unflinching resolve. Charles deserves to be free. The royal family cannot be ruled by manipulation. She remembers her own unease during occasions where Camilla had clearly overstepped. Her loyalty to both Anne and the late queen steals her commitment. 3 days later, the carefully worded invitation lands on Camilla's desk. Royal crest, Sophie's signature, all looking perfectly normal. A preparatory meeting for a children's charity event. Charles is giving a speech and Sophie wants Camilla's input. "Nothing to see here, right?" Wrong. Camilla, always eager to steer the ship, accepts without a second thought. The meeting takes place in a small, elegant room in the palace. Sunlight streams through silk curtains, white roses fill an antique vase. Hidden inside that vase, a tiny recorder, ready to capture every word. Anne is watching from a secret room nearby, pulling the strings like a master puppeteer. Sophie is there, all smiles and charm, along with 3 trusted witnesses, 2 old-school protocol officers, and a Privy Council secretary, all loyal to the crown and to Anne. Camilla arrives, draped in emerald green, jewelry sparkling. She takes her seat, eyes sweeping the room with that quiet confidence she always exudes. Sophie starts the conversation conversation, all polite chit-chat about the guest list, the schedule, and then the speech. We've prepared a draft of His Majesty's speech focusing on children's education, Sophie says, her voice soft as silk. Would you prefer we keep the text as is, or perhaps adjust it slightly to better reflect your guidance? That's the cue. The question hangs in the air, waiting for Camilla to take the bait. And she does. Without missing a beat, she leans forward, a smirk playing on her lips. I'll decide. He'll say what I tell him to say. Boom. The words hit the room like a thunderclap. The protocol officers exchange shocked glances. Even they know that a queen consort doesn't get to dictate what the king says. The secretary dips his head, scribbling furiously, capturing every syllable. Sophie keeps her cool, but inside she's doing a little victory dance. In the next room, Anne is listening through her headset, her heart pounding. She clenches her fists, the recorder light reflecting in her eyes. Perfect. 2 days later, Anne calls an emergency meeting of the Privy Council, an urgent matter concerning royal protocol and the king's authority. The atmosphere is thick with tension. Charles is there, looking grim. Anne is there, calm and collected. The secretary presses play. Camilla's voice fills the room, arrogant and unmistakable. I'll decide. He'll speak as I tell him. The council members are stunned. The protocol officer confirms the statement's authenticity, his voice trembling. Anne steps forward, unveiling the full dossier. Annabelle Elliott's presence in royal discussions, Laura Lope's attendance at the memorial dinner, and the bombshell $25 million, 0 cents in royal funds diverted to Camilla's private estate. The evidence is overwhelming. If someone can speak publicly for the king, Anne says, her voice ringing with conviction, if someone can turn him into a puppet before the eyes of the world, then what purpose does the throne itself serve? Charles says nothing, but he looks at Anne, and for a moment she sees a flicker of understanding, even gratitude. He's waking up. The council deliberates for over an hour. When they emerge, the verdict is clear. Camilla is to be excluded from all royal strategic meetings. All financial expenditures require the king's approval and oversight by an independent council. A representative will accompany Camilla at every public engagement. Camilla's reign is over. Weeks later, at a family dinner, Charles leans towards Anne, his voice thick with emotion. You've done what I couldn't, Anne. Thank you. Anne places her hand over his. She remembers her promise to her mother and all the sacrifices she has made to protect her family. We're family, she says, her voice soft but firm. That's all that matters.